never leave them in those early days. It takes 2 full weeks for eaglets to hold their heads up for feeding. Open mouths, open shut, open shut. She was bigger, swifter, as are all females of our kind, but I was good for my size. That year I brought so much food no chick would need to eat the other, so ample were my hunts. Young rabbit, marmot, skunk, which she shred and fed into their open mouths, open shut, open shut. But eagles suffer when they cannot fly. As the young grew strong and their wings expanded and black-tipped feathers replaced their down, the young one's appetites peaked. It was time for her to fly again. I pushed her from the nest as I had done before. She flew straight into a bullet. The man and boy ran across the earth to where she fell, his red hat bobbing with each step. They did not slash her gut to find sustaining blood and muscle. Instead, they plucked her, starting with her wings, her glorious wings, the father on one side, the son on the other. Each spread the fingers of one hand across her skin to hold it taut, and took the feathers with the other. One at a time, taking hold, they snapped their wrists in one direction along the axis of its anchor, and then snap to the opposite side, in an arc, snap to pull it free. One by one, they plucked her naked, the father's red hat bobbing up and down as he worked, laughing with his son, rousing all hate inside me for all the drum-capped ones, the Turks. They didn't eat her as a hunter would. They laughed as she fell to the ground. They took her quills, pulled them from her, left her naked for the vultures. Carrion, a thing we eagles almost never touch. So now I'm going to read a section from part 2 of the book. And remember, this is a survival story about strength. The opening lines, 3 children, the 3 young ones, 1 black pot, a single quill, and a tuft of red wool are enough to start a new life in a new land. I know this is true because I saw it. And I'm going to take us through some of the gory scenes and then end with a piece on their journey. So I'll go, starting with when the soldiers come. Sosi. Soldiers come with guns straight to the mill room door. They shout until the grinding stops and everyone is out. Soldiers point and poke their guns. They take my brothers, Kevork and Misak, their hands tied together. Shahen's safe at school. They pull Mama from my brothers, Kevork and Misak, their hands tied. They say it's for their safety, for all the young men till the trouble ends, but they tied their hands, and they point and poke their guns at Kevork and Misak, taken with their hands tied. Baron Keban stands with us in his prayer shawl. He tells them Papa's honest, not a revolutionary. He tells them our family has 3 daughters and 2 sons at home, but we're 2 daughters, only 2. Anahid is not with us, only 2. Baron Mustafa says the same. Soldiers believe them. Kevork and Misak, my 2 brothers, hands tied. Mama holds me and Mariam close. We pray for Shahen safe at school, Kevork and Misak taken. We pray the Turkish soldiers hadn't been there first. They point and poke with their guns, but they do not shoot. The next hours, we almost don't breathe. Papa pacing, eyes on the path, Kevork and Misak taken, imagining Shahen home. Mama makes me hem a new kerchief. She makes me embroider its edges with the pattern of an unwed girl. My eyes stick to the path, imagining Shahen home, Papa pacing, Kevork and Misak taken. With each stitch, the needle stabs my fingertip. Blood spots stain the white cloth red, like the forbidden wool, deep in my pocket, Misak and Kevork taken. Mama sews her hands like hummingbirds' wings, taking in one of her dresses, their hands tied. Our eyes stick to the path, imagining Papa Shahen home, Papa pacing, Kevork and Misak taken, hands tied. We are ready when Shahen comes. Not down the path center, but behind one tree, to another, not taken, almost silent, till his sounds and steps burst open when he sees Mama running with a small bundle of her work clutched to her side, Papa's 2 steps behind her. I hold Mariam tight. I keep watch from the roof. They smother him with kisses. They pull him inside, my eyes on the empty path, flapping clothes surround us, hanging in weak gray light. Kevorg and Misak taken, hands tied together inside. My parents speak and dress him at dusk. They introduce him to us, our big sister, Shahanducht. Shahan. Papa, so thick, so certain, so simple. He lost 3 sons in one day, my brothers to soldiers and me to a scarf and dress. Mama knows my shame, still she shows me women's tricks, like how to pull a new dark hair if one should grow on my chin or lip, out from the root by the nails of my thumb and finger. To shave would make it thicken, she tells me, though she knows I have no need. My brothers will return someday, standing tall like men with full black beards. They must. Artziv. Soldiers were close again. I flew tight circles around the mill. Papa stood outside, looking up, shaking his head. I hovered in the air above him as he reached both hands into the sky, spread his 5 fingers towards me, threw me, palms up, open to the sky. He said, "Forgive me, I was wrong. I fear my sons are dead. Their spirits come to me each night. No land is worth a child's life. Protect them, please, the ones who still live." Then he drew his palms back into his fists, his eyes still high in the sky, looking through me, and he pulled these fists down to his gut. I landed on the lower branches, a silent witness. He raised his arm to the sky again, opened his palms, then pulled both open hands down to his heart. Then he touched the ground with his right hand, kissed the back of his hand, then forehead, chest, left, right, and let his hand rest on his heart. His eyes and mouth squeezed shut, taking no breath for one long minute. He swallowed. Breath came again. His eyes opened and met mine. He shivered. He bowed his head to his chest, and he went inside. I made a promise to the empty sky. These 3 young ones would not die. Sosi. I rise before the sun, before Mama can say no, and go to the river to see my vines. I fill a basket with leaves for dolma. They must be picked while still bright green and supple, each the size of my palm, plucked from below the new growth. The apricots are hard and green, but soaking in the sun, soon they will be ripe. Mama's pacing on the roof when I return. She takes the leaves from me, and then, as though we'd never made dolma before, as though I had not picked the leaves myself, she tells me they must be bright green, or else they'll be too tough. She sets the black pot on the rooftop fire, salted water inside it for blanching. We excise the stems with sharp knives. We set the leaves in the pot to wilt, then pull them out to cool. Mama mixes the filling, rice, olive oil, allspice, cinnamon, and mint from the edge of our stream. Roll them tight, Sosi John. Tight as you can, Sosi John. Fold the leaf edge in as you roll, Sosi John, so the rice stays trapped inside. Shahed. I wake before dawn. To church bells, an urgent shake. Mama, Papa, a goat, and the butchering knife. Papa says, bring your sisters to the highest field. Tell them you're checking on the sheep. Don't come back unless we come for you. Wait till it quiets, then go south to Aleppo. Stay high in the mountains, heading southwest till you see the desert from the ridge. Be careful when you cross the Euphrates. Trust no one till Aleppo. Find the 40 Martyrs Church. The Surpire there helped your Keddy get to New York. He holds me for 1 second. He wakes the girls. Mama wraps a vest around me, pulls me close in one motion, saying, wear this. It will keep you full and safe. My head fits into the curve between Mama's head and body. We pull in one breath together. She pushes me away, looks me right in the eyes. You are very young to be a man. Take good care of your sisters. Now go. Mama wraps Sosi and Mariam, each in a new vest, her hug squeezing all breath from them. Papa pulls her back, puts Mariam in my arms, adds a double knot to the laces of her charuch, enveloping her feet. Go now, they're coming. Mama takes the pot from the table. Papa pushes us through the door. Mama follows. Papa grips the goat and knife. Summer is here, but words from springtime last year come out from deep inside me. Let's see who can get to the sheep first. Misak and Kevork said we have new lambs. Sosie looks back at Mama and Papa, then at me. We'll be back, she says. She grabs the black pot for Mama and starts to run. I run, Sosie runs, Mariam whimpers as I squeeze her too tight, her ear pressed to my chest, her legs around my waist. Behind us we hear the squeal of the butchering of a goat, followed by the death quiet. I hear Mama running toward the river screaming, "My girls, my beloved girls, how could you kill them? You should have killed me instead." We hear more screams, the sounds of guns from far away. We hear soldiers near Mama. We hear Mama's sounds like an animal. We hear Papa near Mama. "No, you beasts, no." We hear soldiers and screams, such screams. We hear the sounds of our own breathing, the sounds of our steps. We run harder, the noise of our hearts pounding, blocking the sounds of home. Footsteps, heart and breath fill our ears like rush of mill water at first thaw. Pushing up the mountain path, our chests burning from the push, in and out, legs up and down, our legs and hearts pounding, pounding, not stopping till the top of the highest field. Our ears fill with emptiness. We drop to the ground. I pull my sisters close together behind the giant stone. I find branches, lean them against the rock to hide my sisters. I crawl in, under branches, beside them. They're both wet from sweat and urine that poured from them while they ran and ran. We are safe. Journey, day 19, Gerger Mountain. Sosie. Opening the seams each day, for the food sewn inside by Mama brings us close to her. The imagined wrists, the hem, the two sides that come together in front, surrounding me like Mama's arms. The seams of the collar like her necklace, filled with apricot flesh dried, and bitter nuts taken from inside hard, wrinkled pits together on our roof last summer. I let the cracked wheat from the hem soften in my mouth for hours while we walk and walk. I never want to eat that last bite from Mama. 3 children, 3 young ones, 1 black pot, a single quill, and a tuft of red wool are enough to start a new life in a new land. I know this is true because I saw it. Thank you. Do we want to talk? How do you want? Questions now? Questions now. Oh. And I should thank, because I finished the final revisions of this book while here. So every one of you in this room contributed to this. So thank you in so many ways. So thank you very much. Any questions? If I had said more in an introduction, I would have explained. My mother's father's Vanatsi, my mother's mother is from Balu. And this story began when I asked as a child about my grandmother's childhood, and I got this sentence. Your grandmother ran with her, after her parents were killed, your grandmother ran with her brother and sister from Balu to the orphanage in Aleppo. And I had nothing else. So this story, which is liberating in some ways, in terms of personal history. So lots of research, and then the freedom of magical realism, because I think that the eagle is the strength that's inside of people. So that's how the eagle came in. Any questions? We can be back to smiling before Marine does the joyous part.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
It is, this is of course, I don't know how to kind of preamble this question, but as a medical professional and doctor, relieving trauma, how does that help deal with trauma?
That's a really interesting question. I do think that it varies from culture to culture. Whether I know that very often we have refugees that arrive in the United States, and American psychologists, therapists say, talk about it, and people want not to talk about it. So sometimes for a person, reliving trauma is not good. In the case of Armenian history, what we're trying to do is come up with healing, which is when you have a concern, a shared social meaning. So we live in a situation where our history is denied by a lot of the world. So I think healing involves really speaking out. For me, I know it was personally healing to be able to write a story around a skeleton that I had. But I also really just want to be able to contribute to that dialogue about coming up with recognition and a shared history so that then we can all be healed and all move forward. And that's how it works from a medical anthropological perspective. Your society or your world says what's okay and what's not okay. So what happens when a group is stuck in that last stage of genocide where it's denied, healing can't take place. So I saw this. In fact, the eagle appeared because my editor said, well, what about some, Turkish young person, and you want her to understand why this eagle is siding with the Armenians. So I was writing with that person in mind because I wanted them to be able to see lots of different sides of the story so that we could come up with a shared healing. But your point about making people talk about things that they find painful when the trauma is very fresh is well taken. And apologies if I did that to anyone in the room. Other questions?
Lina, I have a suggestion. Let's finish the reading.
Sure. And then continue.
Have
Very
a
good.
discussion.
Great.
Thank you.